mindful life practice.
All right, so we are going to come into a seated meditation. I think you guys have all done yin with me before. You know what to expect. We're going to be holding our postures for a long duration of time. Oh, I didn't plug in my microphone yet. There we go. So we're going to be holding our postures for 3 to 5 minutes. In this time frame, it gives you an opportunity to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system. To tap into the breath. And then just kind of get some deep stretching for the muscles and the tissues of the body. So just let your posture be comfortable. Your body be relaxed, your spine be straight. And then you can rest your hands just anywhere that's comfortable. And then close the eyes and just let yourself settle into stillness. Letting your body be alert but relaxed. And then as you breathe in and out, just be aware. Being aware of any thoughts, any feelings, any noises. Any smells or physical sensations. Don't try to analyze what you're observing. Just be present. As you observe the activity of the brain. If you feel any sensations, maybe just note what they are. Right, tightness in the shoulders, or you have an aftertaste in your mouth. Maybe you hear a constant beeping of your doorbell in the background. Just notice what's going on and notice it without judgment as it fades away or lessens in intensity. So we have finally made it to the last niyama, the 5th niyama. This niyama is called Isvara Pranidhana. Isvara Pranidhana. And what this niyama asks of you is just simply to surrender. So yoga is sometimes gets confused as being a religious practice. I know I had a parent in my class this year who didn't want me to teach yoga in their class to my students because they felt like it was a religious practice. And I think it's really important to note that in nowhere in any yoga texts does it state that you can't be part of one religion and practice yoga. Right? You can have any religious beliefs. And yoga is just a framework that kind of fits in beside those religious beliefs. But Isvara Pranidhana asks that you have some kind of belief. And it might be in Buddha, it might be in Allah, it might be in God. I myself was raised with no religious beliefs and no religious context. So for me, for a long time, it was just like a belief in the universe. You know, the universe has your back. Things will work out the way the universe intended. And that was enough for me. And of course, if you don't have a belief in anything, you're still welcome here. But I just want to expose you to this niyama so we can learn about it. So if you like to make this commitment to surrender to your practice, feel free. To surrender to the poses, to surrender to the experience. You also don't have to make that commitment, and you can just listen if you like. Let's take a teensy tiny bit of movement before we drop into our stillness. So just take a breath in, take both palms up towards the sky. And then when you exhale, land your right fingertips, lift your left arm up towards the sky, taking a nice lateral bend. Hello, everyone. Some people popped on late. Welcome. Breathe in, lift all the way up. And then we'll lateral bend the opposite way. So land the left palm, reach your right arm up towards the sky. It's funny, when I was doing my bar instructor training, let's inhale our arms up, and then we're gonna twist, left palm, right knee, right fingertips behind you. The feedback I was given was to stop using the word lateral because everyday people don't know what lateral means. I feel confident that you guys all know what lateral means because I use it in literally every class. Lateral is just the term in like our yoga teacher trainings for a side bend. Let's inhale, lift up. And then we're gonna twist the opposite way. But anyway, I've just always used the term lateral. I don't know why, but I assume by now everyone might know what that is, or you might have heard me say it before and you've been able to make that connection. Lift all the way up. Palms reach up overhead. And then let's just take our palms into our heart center. We're gonna do a teensy tiny bit of movement. I don't typically ever get you guys into a down dog during yin, but we're just gonna do one today because I feel like it. So you're more than welcome to just stay in a table if down dog is not your thing. And if you want to come up into a down dog, we're just going to press through our palms, tuck through our toes, lift our hips up. This is the most active we'll get today, I promise. You're going to bend through the right knee, press through the left heel, and then do it the opposite way. So you're pedaling out through the heels. You're getting this like nice stretch through the calves. And then let's just take 5 more breaths. 4, 3, 2, and then just take 1 more. And then land through your knees, untuck your toes, just sit your hips back and then start to settle into a child's pose. We're settling into our first restorative shape. So you can cushion yourself in any way that makes sense for you. You can have a cushion underneath the body. You can have a cushion underneath the knees. Have a blanket around yourself. As you know, we will be here for a few minutes, and I'll just look at my timer so that I'm aware of how long you're holding here. So I want to share with you a poem I found today when planning this class. It says, surrender. Surrender to the postures. The difficult ones reflect life's struggles, and the sweet ones are joy. Surrender to the outcome of your actions. They are not in your control. Each day and each yoga practice, just do your best. Surrender to the actions of the universe, the marvel of nature, the things that you never saw coming. Surrender to your present difficulties, the pain and the losses, especially the things you tried so hard to control, but you couldn't. Surrender to the definition of yourself. Your judgments, they are just your way of limiting who you are. Have a deep, unwavering trust. Right now, you are where you need to be. Just feel the universe working its beautiful magic through you. So Isvara, what that directly translates to is a higher belief of our own understanding, right? So it could be a god, a deity, just our higher selves. It could be a belief in nature, the universe, as I like to call it. It could be just a belief in the divine within. Pranidhana, it means to surrender, to devote, or to dedicate. And the attainment of the state of yoga, yoga meaning union, right? Union with the self, union with the universe. So the attainment of the state of yoga, it's often said to come most directly from this niyama. It just asks us to let go and surrender. And surrender doesn't mean to give in, but just a willingness to be nudged in the direction for our greater good. So really what it means is when, we're able to redirect our thinking and our energy from our personal dramas and see the bigger picture of our life and our place in the universe. Seeing that we're really quite tiny in the grand scheme of things. That's what it really means to practice the last niyama. So as you receive this posture, we'll just be here for a few more breaths. Can you feel a small shift inside of you? And a connection to something bigger than yourself? Let's stay in this child's pose for just a couple more breaths. And then we're going to make our way up into our rebound pose. So you can come onto your belly, onto your back. You can just be seated, whatever. We're just going to take it for a few minutes. Just kind of letting that posture wash over us. And then take your palms underneath your shoulders. We're going to make our way up. We're going to come into a dragon today, but we're going to make our dragon a little bit different than usual. So if you want to put a blanket underneath one of your knees, go ahead, because we will be on the knee for a few minutes. So typically when we come into dragon, I often have us taking it low with our elbows on the mat. Today we're going to come into a higher dragon than usual. We're only going to be here for 3 minutes. So you're going to come up into this low lunge. And then just place your hands on your thigh. Let me check the time to make sure I don't hold you here for too long. Let me keep you for 3 minutes, exactly. So I pulled out my favorite book today, Meditations from the Mat, because this is a niyama that I don't know a lot about. And I think that perhaps comes to the fact that I wasn't raised with religious beliefs. And I mean, I know that sounds extreme when I say it. We did have a Christmas tree. We did do Thanksgiving. We did do Easter at my house. My grandmothers both would identify probably as Christian, and they definitely would pray to God. But in my direct family with my mom and my dad, I wasn't raised in church. I didn't go to church. So that's what I mean when I say that I wasn't raised with religion. I just don't know much about any world religions. I really started learning about it when I moved to Kuwait and, was learning about Islam, learning about the different religious practices of, all the different people in my life. So I pulled out Meditations from the Mat because I just wanted to get some sort of inspiration or some ideas on what practicing this niyama really means. So my teacher, Rolf, he writes that in yoga classes, he often suggests that students select something to pay homage to while they're in Parsvottanasana, which is pyramid pose, a bowing posture. And the energy in the room changes instantly, becoming more deeply focused. As both individually and collectively, we spend time in the energy of respect. A friend of mine says that he organizes his life around his gratitude to God. Gratitude is the organizing principle, the organizing energy in his life. So whether we have profound joy and direction in worshiping God, in worshiping Allah, in worshiping the Buddha, in worshiping nature, in worshiping human potential, in worshiping science, like my dad, that's probably what he'd say, or worshiping our own higher self, it all makes no difference. What matters is that we embody reverence, that we regularly and consistently, we bring our attention to the divine. So let's slowly lower and just take our palms down. Oh, that was deep, wasn't it? Step that right knee back for a minute and then give yourself a moment in rebound. So I'm just gonna sit on my heels for a minute. And embrace that shape. Feel the difference from the right and the left. And then we're gonna make our way into the opposite side. So this time you're stepping your left foot forward. You're resting on your right knee. And then you can prop the hands on top of the left. So I say that yoga doesn't conflict with any religions. But I must admit that for me, it became where my spirituality has originated. Cat is awake. Hi, princess. I don't know if you guys can hear her meowing. Anyway, I do believe that my lack of, how can I word this nicely? I think that everyone, all parents believe what they want to believe, and, teach their children what they think is best. I do appreciate how liberal and open-minded my parents are. I think it's amazing. They're both environmental activists. They're so cool. But I do think growing up, my lack of spirituality was something that I really struggled with. I became obsessed with this TV show called Seventh Heaven. I don't know if you guys know it, but it was a show about this family where the dad was a minister. He ran a church. And he would give these sermons at the start of every episode. And I would be saying to my parents, I want to go to church. I want to go to church. And looking back now, I realized that I just needed kind of some guidance on how to create a happy and healthy life. And it was something that was missing within me. And by studying the yamas and by studying the Yoga Sutras, it helped heal me a lot. Because even though I still don't have religion in my family, I still don't go to church, I use the framework of the Yoga Sutras as something that helps me make the right choices in my life. How did I get to that point? Where was I going with that? I don't know. Anyway, the point is yoga is not a religion, but it can line up with whatever your religion is. And it can help you find a connection to something deeper, right? Yoga means unity. Union with the breath. Union with the body. Union with the mind. Union with the soul. And then union between all of us, right? All of us that are practicing together. Rolf says that there's this undeniable energy in a room full of people practicing yoga together. And I think the same is said when I'm walking on the streets here in the Middle East. I don't see it as much in Abu Dhabi, but in Kuwait, we would see, hundreds of people worshiping on Friday morning outside of the mosque. And it was that same energy. We're all here for this purpose. We're all practicing together. You're connected in your intention, I guess. And the beautiful thing about yoga is that it can bring people of every religion and every belief together. It's one of the most beautiful things about our community. All right, we've been here for a good 3 minutes. We're doing great. Just take one more breath. And then walk your hands back You can step your way back and then sit on the heels. Let your body kind of realign. I'm going to turn on my lights. Had them off because it was bright when I started, but the sun is setting here in Abu Dhabi. That's better. All right, so we're going to transition into kind of some forward folds now. I think folding inward connects well with our intention. So we're going to make our way up to stand and come into our dangle. So bending the knees a lot and gently draping the body forward. And maybe supporting yourself like on a piece of furniture. That will feel better. You know, I think I've realized why I don't know much about this niyama as I'm talking about it. I think I'm fearful to bring up this niyama because I'm afraid that people will think that I'm like trying to shove a religion on them, trying to push a religion on them. And I think that just kind of articulates you know, the misunderstanding, right? Like this mother of my student, she refused to let me teach yoga in the class. And, you know, I think yoga can only benefit children. They're stretching, it helps settle their mind, it helps them kind of get their wiggles out and focus. And of course, I'm not teaching yoga classes to kids on Isvara Pranidhana, right? We're just playing. But I think sometimes people fear things that they don't understand. And I think I was afraid of introducing this concept and not teaching it in a way that, you know, people would understand what I meant by it. Found a lot of awesome passages today in Rolf's book. I want to share another one with you. So Rolf says that he came to spirituality by way of a human example. And it was only after my dog came to me as a 5-month-old bundle of joy that I really began to get it, to realize that she had so much to teach me. If only I would open up to her lessons. I would take her outside and just observe how happy she was. She didn't need anything, no sneakers, no scooter, no skis, no SUV, right? She simply embraced the world and the world embraced her. And as this idea moved from my subconscious to my conscious, I began to consider the spiritual condition of other living beings on the planet. And I began to really look at the plants and animals that surround me. And what I saw was samadhi, which is complete absorption in the moment through instinctive and innate faith. And in AA, they say we have resigned from the debating committee. So if you want to see what that looks like, just gaze out your window. That final niyama tells us we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to follow suit with every other living being on the planet. Stay in this fold for like 3 more rounds of breath. And then we're going to slowly roll all the way up to stand. And then just take a moment standing rooted in your Tadasana, feeling what has shifted, feeling what has moved. And then we're going to make our way into the opposite side, not the opposite side, one more pose. So we're going to take one more dragon, but this time we're going to take a low dragon like we usually do. So keeping your right foot forward, stepping your left foot back, landing the left knee onto the blankie behind you or the mat or whatever. And then you're going to take the palms this time to the inside of the right foot. Okay, so both are inside and your right ankle is underneath your right knee. And then you can choose, you can be up on your hands. You could maybe be down on the elbows, just kind of getting into the hip crease. You can also roll onto the outer edge of the right foot. We are going to stay here for about 3 minutes. I'm just going to turn off my air conditioning. I've had enough of that. Just kind of getting into the stretch in our hips. This is basically a Rolf Gates themed yoga class. I mean, I guess he just knows more than I do about this concept. I want to share with you one more story from his book. And in this book, not in this book, in this story, Rolf is talking about when he shifted his career and he started working in the front line of the human service industry. So when he became a full-time yoga teacher. And he was having a really hard time dealing with conflicts and drama at the yoga studio. And he was out for coffee with a friend. Who was just listening to him talk about, all the drama and all the issues with his employers. And his friend asked him if he thought that someday he would do a better job as the manager. And without hesitation, Rolf said, yeah, I think I would make a great program director one day. He said, Rolf, go to work today and act in such a way that your coworkers and your supervisors, they would agree with you. Now let's take one more breath. And then just slowly come onto the palms, coming all the way up. And we're gonna step back and take this shape on the opposite side. As your left foot steps forward, and then maybe you take the palms to the inside of the left foot, opening the knee. You might be on the elbows. So a few days later, Rolf was complaining about another problem at work. And his friend said, Rolf, act as if you trust your God. And that time the words stuck. His message to me was always the same. To be spiritual is to act like an adult. To take responsibility for your actions. To manifest love in your interactions. I often come to my yoga mat to be comforted. There's nothing wrong with this. Seeking comfort is often necessary. To help intervene in a given situation. And when comforted, it's our duty to then comfort others. Right? Our problem solved, it's up to us to become a part of the solution. And so there's nothing wrong with coming to your yoga mat to receive. But in order for what we receive to flourish in our lives, we have to take the next step and we have to share our gifts with the world. We're just here for another minute, taking breaths in. Maybe trying this in your practice as you inhale, drawing life energy in. As you exhale, try to radiate the heart energy out into the world. You got it. Slowly come up. And then find yourself into a rebound, whether you're lying on your back or your front or sitting up on your knees. We're just going to take one more pose before we take our Shavasana. And we're going to make our way into our last pose. So we're going to come onto our back. And our last pose we're going to take, it's called stirrup pose in Yin. It's called happy baby in Vinyasa, so you probably know it. You're going to open your knees wide, wider than your torso, and then take your hands either onto your ankles or your shins, or maybe they can come up onto your big toes. And so this last point that Rolf was making, once your problem is solved, you have to help be part of the solution. Right? Once you've began to find inner peace, you have to share that with others. Help them find inner peace. And it kind of reminds me of, like, in the yoga world, people will often identify or call themselves light leaders. I think what it means is like you're trying to bring light to the world. And it reminds me of something one of my teachers, Everett, said. He's not my favorite teacher in the world, I'll be completely honest. But he did say something inspiring. On one of our yoga teacher trainings, there were, lots of people talking about how they wanted to quit their jobs in the business world. They just wanted to do yoga full time. I wanted to leave being a teacher. And Everett said, if you walk away, if you turn away from the world, who is going to carry the torch? Right? Who's going to light the way for others if you want to walk away from all the drama and all the gossip and all the pain? I have a dream of just like living in the jungle in Bali and doing yoga, but is that going to help anyone except myself? No. He says, accept the way the world is as opposed to separating from it. And I think that's been a key lesson for me, right? When I first moved to the Middle East, I couldn't handle all of the social injustices that I saw here. I would get angry and frustrated and wanted to go home. But there's social injustices everywhere. They just take shape in different forms and different ways. And if we turn away from it, then who's going to carry the torch? You have to accept the way the world is as opposed to separating from it. Right? And just try to breathe in like the love and light that the energy of the universe has to offer. And then as you breathe out, share it with the world. Let's take one more round of breath. And then draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. You can rock from side to side. And then we're ready to stretch out either into our final resting pose, Shavasana, or you might come up to join me in seated meditation. My grandma recently this summer, my dad's mom, she said to me, she's like, she had seen all these yoga photo shoots of me that I was doing for Instagram. And it was like it dawned on her. She's like, Alex, you know that yoga for you is like a religion. She's like, if this had been like 50 years ago when you were born, you would have been a nun. I'm like, you're probably not wrong. I definitely was lost. I definitely was looking for guidance. That's probably why this practice inspired me so much. Again, that's not to say that this is a religion. That's just the word my granny used for it. This practice is whatever it means to you. Actually, me and Yara are running something on the Instagram later this week. It says, yoga is, to me, finish this sentence. And so at the end of our exploration of this niyama, I want to tell you, like anything in yoga, you can take it or leave it. At the end of this day, this might just be stretching for you. It might just be strength building for you. It might be spirituality for you, and it might not be spirituality for you. And there is nothing wrong with any of that. Right? Yoga is different for everyone, and that's what's so beautiful about it. There is no right or wrong. But I can't teach about the niyamas and the niyamas without skipping this one. I need to stop shying away from the things that seem too daunting or big to me. So for the next few moments in your shavasana or your meditation, I'm going to invite you to think about that. What does yoga mean to me? There is no right or wrong. Does it include a form of spirituality? And if it does, what is it? And what does it represent? I wanna be free, so free, like a feather blowing through the breeze, like a bird in a tree, like a dolphin in the sea. I wanna fly high, so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I will let it all go with a sigh. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, be me, be the only being that I see. Not to rise and not to fall, be at one with love and hope. No high, no low, there is nowhere else to go. Inside within your heart, and be just who you are. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Give your fingers and your toes a little wiggle. Run a nice long stretch all the way, fingers into toes. Take your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And I just want to share with you guys, I realized as I was singing, I was like, I don't know if everyone knows what Pachamama means. I think it's a Canadian Native American word that means Mother Earth. I don't know if it's known worldwide. I don't know if it's known in the Middle East. But in the words Pachamama, coming home, I feel like it really articulates our union to this earth. It is our home. Right? Where does nature end and where do we begin? We're all part of it all. If you're seated, just stay. And if you're on your back, just make your way up. We'll take our palms into our heart center, lengthen through the shoulders, balance the head on both shoulders. And so we're going to seal our practice together with an Om sound, which is really just a sound of unity and togetherness. So if you want to join, it's an inhale and then an exhale, and then an inhale through to make an Om. Okay, so taking a breath in and taking a breath out, and taking a breath in. Thank you for sharing the space and the practice this afternoon. May we all be happy and healthy and free. And may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. Om Shanti, 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 peace. Namaste.
The Mindful Life Practice.